All right, YouTube, something came to my attention yesterday, and this is a subject that I needed to dive deeper into long ago, and that is the state of the underground online poker world. You've heard me mention it before in my content with some of these application sites, with some of these browser sites, but today I'm going to dig deep into how exactly they work. I'm going to explain how they work. I'm going to talk about why these games are so soft. I'm going to talk about the scams that have taken place out there through these clubs. I'm going to talk about what to watch out for and what to look for to potentially stay safe and maximize your ability to actually win on the site. I'm going to talk about a thread posted on 2plus2 where two players allege that the Poker King, the New York Poker King, is scamming them out of $60,000 and that they owe them $60,000. And the Poker King's on his Instagram saying that these guys are cheating. I don't know, it's all a ridiculous situation. We're going to go more into that as well too. We're going to talk about how the payouts work. I'm basically diving deep into how all these situations work. Specifically, we're going to be covering PPPoker, Pokermasters. There are very similar sites like this. With the PPPoker has its own clubs, Pokermaster has its own clubs. There are other applications out there that have their own home games as well too. Talk more about it, how the Rake works, how the agents work, how it works as a player, cash outs, the degens that play on there, the soft games that play on there, how Rakeback works, how susceptible these games are to cheating. We're going to cover all this in this video. Now, if you guys are wondering what something like a Pokermaster is, I'm going to show you a video of a sweatshop, it appears, where this has been my impression of what happens in a lot of these games.
这不够啊，电脑不够用啊，还得再加2台。
All right, so let's just start off with the basics of how exactly these sites work, how they operate, how the applications work. So basically you have something like a PPPoker or a Pokermasters, and you download an app that you can play on your phone, or you download something that you can play on your computer. There are other sites out there where all you have to do is load up your browser, and then you play in the actual browser. So there's no software needed at all. You can play on your computer, you can play on your phone. So now you as the player, you decide, okay, I downloaded this app. Where do I go now? And now, most times you have to join a club or a home game. Basically, how a club works is it works pretty similar to a home game you might find where there's a top operator. Sometimes there's agents that bring people in. So you have the main operator at the top of the club, the people that are in charge of the club, who decide what the rake structure is going to be, who find agents underneath them. So now, let's say we're joining as a player and we want to find an agent. So there's various agents out there promoting themselves through Instagram, promoting themselves to the local card rooms out there, promoting themselves on social media through their Twitters or Facebook or through something like a 2plus2 or even some of the poker sites out there. So now you as the player, you then find the agent. You say, okay, I want to play on this site. What exactly is an agent? How does that work? An agent is someone who finds players for the site. Now, what incentive does the agent have to go find those players is that they are going to make a percentage of the rake that you bring in. So let's say I'm the operator and I hire you to be my agent. So now, or I'm not really even hiring you a lot of times. Sometimes you might work out a deal where you might get a flat fee to be an agent if you can bring in a lot of players, or you might get a better deal as an agent. What happens is the agent and the operator are going to negotiate some sort of deal together to determine how much rake percentage you get from the player you bring in. So let's say I give you 50-50. So I collect 50% of rake from the players that you bring in as the operator, and then you collect 50% of rake from the players that you bring in. Then you as the agent have the decision to give rake back out to the players that you bring in. So let's say I meet someone who has a little bit more knowledge, or someone who I'm friends with or familiar with, and they want to play on the site. Maybe I give them 40% rake back, 30% rake back. From my experience, I have a good relationship with the agents out there, so I tend to get higher rake back. I talked to a lot of other players out there who get no rake back because, one, they don't really understand why it works. They don't understand what it is. They don't understand to ask for it. They're too scared to ask for it. They just want to gamble. There's a number of different reasons why a lot of people out there don't have the knowledge to understand why you should get rake back. And I mean, it should be almost a mandatory thing for the most part. But a lot of agents out there, they're not going to give you fucking rake back if you have absolutely no idea what rake back is. It doesn't make sense in their minds to them, whereas some agents are going to give you rake back. So when you're looking for an agent out there, you want to find agents who are going to give you rake back percentage, who are going to guarantee the funds for you. So if something does happen, and obviously that's a hard process to find if you don't have personal relationships or know who people are in the industry that have built up reputations over years and years and years that don't want to see those reputations get ruined because they didn't pay players out for some different reason. So now, let's say you're a casino player. Okay, you found an agent through the local 2-5 game. Then you want to deposit money. Well, how do you do that? Very, very easy. Sometimes you might play on credit. If you guys know what credit is, it's that person will say, okay, I want $1,000, and then you as the agent will just give them $1,000. You'll settle up later. Obviously, that requires its own level of trust. And that is a situation where you as the agent or the site operator open yourself up to get scammed or not paid, which just happens all the time in sports betting, in home games. These are big problems. These things occur in all the areas of gambling just like that. So now, let's say you don't like get credit. Some players don't get credit. Well, then you can send money through a number of different ways. PayPal, Venmo, crypto, poker site. You might give them cash at a casino. You might give cash to another friend. There's a number of different ways that you can pay for money these days and get money on these sites. So that process is really, really easy and is something that is extremely appealing to poker players out there. Because if you play on a site like a Global Poker or a site like a PokerStars, your deposit options are limited in a lot of ways, and when you want to reload instantly for more money, you have to go through all these hoops, and sometimes it takes you can't really get it on there without verifying this, or you got to wait a few days. So the process can become unappealing to a lot of poker players out there. And then when you are playing on a site like PokerStars, the quality of player is slightly different. So when you lose a bunch of money, you're not going to say, well, I'm going to get it back against these nitty regulars. Whereas on these application sites, they bring in a lot of these weaker players because for a number of different reasons, which I'm going to get into. So you say, okay, well, I think I can get it back. These guys are fucking terrible. So then you want to keep playing on the site, and the ability to get money on there is fairly easy. So you can understand how it's possible to lose a lot of money on there as a player. And you can understand why the games are so good when you think about it like that. So we have the operator, the person that owns the club, the person that owns the site, the person that's in charge. They decide what the rake is. It seems like the standard rake on most of these sites is something like a 5% capped rake, up to 1 to 3 big blinds they take out of pots. Some sites are going to be different. Some clubs vary. Sometimes they might be raking a little bit out of line numbers at higher stakes, at a 10-20 or a 25-50. But overall, the sites I've played on, the rake has been fairly competitive, and my rakeback has been higher. So I personally had good experiences on a couple of sites I played, but I vastly trust my agents. And yeah, I mean, that's just how it works sometimes. Sometimes you got to put your trust in there, you gamble it up, and it turns out well for you. But I've also had situations in the past where I did not have as much knowledge, and I've got scammed and lost a bunch of money because I put my faith in an agent who I was recommended by someone else, and the site went down and my money's gone. So a little bit more about these sites in terms of the security on the sites. There really isn't much security to really police the games in terms of being colluded against, in terms of if somebody is, God forbid, super using on the site or hacking the software and those type of things. And obviously, we don't know if things like that are happening. Is it possible? Sure. Is there security in place to prevent it? Not that I'm aware of. These sites aren't regulated. These sites aren't audited. And there really aren't many repercussions outside of you ruining your reputation in a lot of ways. So I'm going to go over the scams that have went down through these clubs a little bit later in the video. But for the most part, what happens is the people take the money and disappear. The agents will take the money sometimes. The operators will take the money sometimes. And then they're gone. And then what? We make a YouTube video about it, and then that's it. There's really not much repercussions that take place if people do decide to do these things. There are also sites like a Pokermaster, which has a different structure where that it takes 5% of your winnings each session. So if you lose money, you don't pay any rake. Whereas when you win money, you pay 5% of your winnings to the house. And then there's also the agent fees, where some agents are a little bit fucking out of line, and they will take a lot of money from what you win. Some agents might take 20% of what you win, because the games are pretty wild on there in terms of the action players. So that's a whole other ordeal when it comes to Pokermasters. Pokermaster used to be a little bit more poppin', and right now there's a lot of different similar sites or apps like a Pokermaster out there. There's some that are mainly out of Europe. There's a whole bunch of sites in the underground world right now. There are a ton of different clubs. Some are region-based, some are rather big, some are rather small, some are promoted heavily through people's Twitter pages, some are run by Instagram influencers, some Instagram influencers are just agents for. So there's a whole number of different options out there. And really the important thing is to figure out, what should I be playing on? Which club should I be playing on? What should I be looking for? How do I stay safe on here? How do I limit my downside on here? How do I limit my exposure to being cheated and colluded against on here? Because I believe that if you do understand how to navigate this area properly, you can do really well. There are people making a lot of money on these sites. They don't really have much incentive to publicly talk about that, but from my experience talking with them, from my experience with agents out there and with people who operate these sites, there are definitely people that are making money. So you can kind of see there's risk on the players in this situation, and there's also risk on the agents and operators in this situation when the idea of credit comes into play, or when the idea of you putting your faith in the agent as the operator comes into play, and then the agent might take your money. So risk all around in this scenario. And how the clubs work on PPPoker as the operator is that you're going to pay a monthly fee to PPPoker. You're also going to pay a VIG on the chips that are purchased by the players that you send out through PPPoker. And you can also purchase things in-app as the agent or as the player that kind of make the experience more fun, make it more easy for you to settle up with the players. So the people behind PPPoker are making bank right now, but you can understand the structure from the operator side in that you can set this up. Anyone can set it up. We could set up a club right now, here, today, boom. We set it up. I start bringing people in. You send me money on PayPal and we get a game going and I'm making money. We're playing some soft games out there and everyone out there is winning. Right? Isn't that how it works? I saw a video on YouTube. A guy was setting it up. He's saying, okay, you want to play? Send me $1,000 on PayPal. I'll get you chips on here. It's really that easy. And obviously you can understand the risk in it being that easy is that any shady character out there can just load up a club, start bringing in their friends, start recruiting agents, start giving agents cuts. Agents start making money. They're incentivized to go tell you whatever the fuck it takes to get you on the site. And then, well, we have a clubs born. So now what should you be looking for as a player out there? And it's tough when you don't really know people in the industry. You kind of have to just trust who appears to be trustworthy to you. Me personally, I try to deal with agents who have a very, very, very strong reputation, who will guarantee the money if something does go down. I try to limit the amount of money I do keep on there. I try to make sure I trust the agent in that the club is set up in a way where they are trying to limit the potential cheating and the colluding taking place in the clubs. And there is cheating and colluding happening in these clubs. It is very easy to do so. We can start a club right now. I can start cheating in that club instantly. I got 2 accounts, 3 accounts, boom. I bring you 3 players in, boom, that's it. Now, I'm not going to do that to you, but there are how do we know other people aren't going to be doing that? There's no repercussions. There's nothing to stop these players. There's nothing to stop these operators, and they're really not going to get caught doing it. So these are the kind of risks that are involved as the player out there, and that's why it's important to try to find an agent who you trust. You can try to go through players who have good experiences on there, maybe as winning, but obviously that's not always going to be a best case scenario, and some players might just lie to you and tell you they're winning even when they're not winning on there. So ultimately what I like to do, and if I do that, is I'm going to be very careful about watching which players play together, watching any out-of-line activity happening at the table, maybe playing heads up or short-handed, and really trying to pay attention to what's taking place between the other players. But I can understand people out there with less knowledge aren't going to really understand what to look for. So my main advice would be to not gamble with a lot of money that you can't afford to lose, 1. 2, really shop around, look for a reputable agent, a respectable agent, which might take some work, but you don't want to be playing on a site where the person in charge of the site is a convicted felon that we know about, that's been involved with scams in the past. Probably not a guy that you're going to want to play on that site. And you can definitely find a less shadier option out there than to risk yourself on a site like that. Now, obviously, people talk about these sites and they're so soft. The site games are soft. The players are so bad. Oh my God, I'm willing to take the chance. This is why you play on these shady people's clubs. Or this is why you play on some other club. The games usually tend to be very, very soft. So let's talk about why exactly the games are soft on there. So I think first and foremost is just the ease of entering these games, in that you download the app on your phone, boom, you're in the mix. You can get credit, you can pay to get money on there a number of different ways. You instantly get money on there often. The agents are incentivized to take care of you and to make your experience easy so that you keep coming back to play more. Therefore, you're going to get some preferential treatment in making your experience a more enjoyable one in terms of getting money onto these sites. Right there, you're on your phone, boom, you're in the mix. And now a lot of the people that are being recruited to these sites are going to tend to be players who are more inexperienced when it comes to online poker. Because if they had experience playing online poker, they most likely would choose one of the more regulated sites that have their own risks as well. And even the non-regulated sort of legal sites like a Global Poker. So oftentimes you're going to find inexperienced players on here. You're going to find live players on here who don't really understand the 6-max dynamics when they play online. And they've never really studied much online poker. And word of mouth is spread through their casino amongst their friends or amongst their peers or amongst, maybe they see some bad players playing on there, so they want to try it out. So these players just aren't very good in general. These sites also cater to fucking degenerates. The degens who don't know any better about the risk, who don't understand the possibility of being cheated, who don't understand the possibility of the clubs taking their money. These people are prime for a spot like this. So somebody reached out to me and says, hey, do you want to play in here? I'm going to be like, probably not, a lot of risks. I'm not going to risk my money. Whereas Degen Dan is going to be like, yeah, sure, let's do it. This guy's playing on here. That guy's playing here. Fuck it. These players are so bad. Oh my God. So now you got the bunch of degens are in the mix on there. So you also have winning players get banned and removed from some of these clubs too. So if a player's winning too much money, if they suspect something out of line's happening with them, if they're just running well or that good, they're going to get banned from the site. So winning players are going to get removed from the site sometimes. Also, in some of these clubs, the payouts do tend to be slow. And some of these people just don't pay out at all. Therefore, the winning players that hear about this, or smarter people that hear about this, they're going to stay away from those. Therefore, the people that are playing on there are going to tend to be people who are unaware that's happening, are willing to deal with the risk, are degenerates and don't care, or know they shouldn't be doing it, but they just can't control themselves and do it anyway. A big reason why I think these games are soft is because of the influencers on Instagram right now, in that I think what happens is that the people who are promoting these clubs, they're also building up a personal brand. They're promoting chip stacks. They're promoting themselves as winning poker players. I would like to believe. I think most players aren't admitting they're losing poker players. So they're presenting themselves as winning poker players. You should trust me. I know what I'm talking about. People are interacting with them in comment section and they seem to have some authority. Maybe they're marketing their club on their stories or through their content in a way that seems to be trustworthy. So then you, as someone who's inexperienced with online and have had your reservations about playing online, you see these way that these influencers are marketing to you, or the way that they're talking about their clubs in the casino, and you say, hey, I'll give it a shot. I'll try it out. And online poker is fucking addicting. So you keep playing, you stick around, maybe you win a little bit, you get stuck a little bit, you realize this action's crazy, it comes fast and furious. And there's a reason online poker was so popular in America when it was legal. It's because it's a lot of fun, it's a lot addicting, and the highs are high, the lows are low. So these new players who don't play much, they get hooked in, they start playing, and they want to come back for more. And also, there's a lack of faith in the sites that you can play in America right now. Obviously, America's card room's got its own fucking issues. Global Poker, people got their own issues there. Ignition, their own possible issues there. So when it comes to someone out there who does want to play poker and they've been seeing these unregulated sites or these legal but not really legal sites, they say, well, shit, this looks like a better option. You got Whitney over here telling me I should play on the site. Well, if Whitney wants to play on there and Danny plays on there and Big Jim plays on there and Awful Andy plays on there, well, fuck, let me try out the site too. So then you put more faith in the site. You decide, okay, I'll try it out. And once again, it just helps to enable people that are inexperienced and that don't have knowledge about what exactly is going on out there. It helps enable them the ability to play on there. And I believe I said this at the beginning, but a friend of mine pointed this out, is that the ease of ability for whales to get money on these sites is just so easy. Especially once you build up a relationship or reputation with the person, and that you can just keep reloading. So when you're playing bad, when the fish is playing bad, and the fish just keeps reloading, losing a bunch of money, I mean, that's going to make these games extremely soft. When you look at them, you say, damn, this is just stuff you don't really see on a lot of other poker sites out there. So we've covered how these sites operate. We've covered how the agents work, how the operators work, why these games are super soft. Let's talk about some of the scams that have went down out there. So now one scam that really took note of was on Reddit. Reddit Poker had this moderator guy. I think his name was like Stix27 or shit like that. I think he played PLO, was an anonymous guy. All of a sudden, he starts promoting, I think it was called Mountain Poker Club. He's saying, this is why you should try it out. He's doing the whole sales speech. He's an agent for the site. And what happens a few months later? The site goes down. They take $40,000, maybe more. Who knows how much money they really took from players. The Stix guy said, I'm deleting my account. I'm disappearing. He's gone. Club's gone. That's it. Okay, what are you going to do? Nothing. There's been other clubs that have gone down because they let the whales play very, very heavy on credit. The whales didn't pay. They couldn't pay out the winning players. Those people disappeared as well. I heard of some club out of Houston had something happen where one of the main people that was in charge of that disappeared with the money as well too. There was a big Pokermasters club where the person in charge, he did the same thing. Got all the money, ran with the money. I've heard a number of different times where agents were getting money from players and the agents disappeared too. How big of a worry is these things to happen or take place in the games you play in? I can't really say for sure. Every agent's going to be different. Every club's going to be different. But it certainly is something to worry about and think about as a player out there. Now, the original thing I talked about at the top of the video was there's two players who are saying that the New York Poker King, his site owes them $40,000. One guy said it owes them $20,000. They basically took out their story in 2+2. They posted transcripts of the conversation, trying to set up a conversation with the Poker King or whoever the fuck they're talking to. Seems to be an entire ordeal that was not easily done. It's a lot of screenshots in there. It's a lot of messages. And now you got the Poker King guy going on Instagram saying, I'm the fucking top guy. I'm the top agent. Everyone can suck my... Basically telling people to suck his dick. Someone come up, say something to me in person, this or that. Listen, first of all, New York Poker King, I'm ready to do a podcast in person anytime. I'll ask you these questions in person anytime, 24/7. Whenever you're ready to do it, let's make it happen. I'm here in Vegas. I'm here all the time. Whenever you come out here, you let me know. Let's set up a podcast. Let's square these things up, man. Number one agent out there. You got nothing to worry about. Everything's above line. You're not doing anything wrong. You got a bunch of fans out there. Perfect. That sounds like a great opportunity for us two to connect, clear up some of the rumors, clear up some of the allegations, clear up some of the things that people are saying about you, and tell your side of the story out there. So basically, New York Poker King is now saying that these guys are cheating. They cheated. What's his proof? Is that fish are messaging him saying, oh, that's a fishy account. Well, it turns out when two fish are playing against each other and they both play fucking bad, of course the person that loses is going to say, oh, this guy's this guy's that. That's how it works. Losing poker players blame the site. They blame cheating. They blame these things happening. And now I'm not saying it's not possible that these guys weren't doing something wrong. But the one guy is supposed to be paid months ago. It's been 3 months since he's been owed money. They've said in messages that, oh, you have to play more for us to pay you and for you to get priority. So for you to have priority on our payments, you got to play more. Well, the guy's not getting paid. Why would you want to play more? Basically, they're just trying to make this guy play to try to lose some more money back. And apparently they're just not going to fucking pay these guys. So what are you going to do? What repercussions are there? These guys are saying they're cheating. What are your fucking proof? These guys don't have backdoor access to what's going on. They're just making things up because they don't want to pay these guys the $60,000 that they owe them. And now, like I said, I am open to the idea that maybe something was going on there, but I highly doubt the Poker King, whoever else is in charge of this site, is going to be able to prove anything like that. So to me, it seems like you give these guys their money, you let them cash out. I've spoken to both of the guys. Their stories make sense. I haven't looked too deeply into it, but it does seem to me like they're just dicking them around, and whether they may not have the player funds in order because of how they process these payouts, it does seem a little Ponzi scheme-ish to me, where if I want to cash out $1,000, I'm going to get payments from 50 different places, from Venmo, from here, from there, from small amounts, coming from player deposits. It just seems like a system that is not built to last, and we're just hearing from people who got scammed for big amounts. I'm sure there's people out there who haven't been paid smaller amounts, who aren't on Instagram, aren't on Twitter, don't know me, don't know anyone out there who can get their voice out there too, and I'm sure more things like this will come up in the future. So you got to be careful out there when you play on these sites. When you open yourself to this risk, is that this is what that can happen. They just take your money. That's it. Boom, done. You thought you won. You needed the money for something. You started spending it in your mind, and now that's never going to happen. So we're going to see exactly what develops with this scam out there, with what's happening, whether they're going to get paid, whether they're not going to get paid, where this site goes down. Now, I got to say, the positive thing I've noticed about the club is that it does seem to be operating now for about a year. And really, it should be operating. It's pretty fucking hard to fuck it up. You collect rake from all these players. Why would you not have the money to pay them out with how much rake you're making? Even if you're a massive degenerate. You know, and one thing I thought about too was that you as the agent or operator, when you bring in bad players, you know who these bad players are. So if I'm the Poker King guy and I bring in some awful player, well, I'm telling my friends, maybe you're, who know, and the thing you have to worry about is that these people that are in charge that know who you are, who's policing them to team up with their friends? Who's policing the Poker King from Poker King teaming up with his buddies? And this works for any club, any person at the top of the club, any agent. There's really no one policing these guys to stop them from doing that. So you have to put your faith in them that they won't do it. And from all my understandings about the specific Poker King guy, from his convictions in the past with the government and with grand larceny, from the rumors out there, from the conversation logs that I'm reading out there, this is not a guy that I'm going to trust to put my money on his site, that there's not some online shit happening on the site. And now that's just one club. I'm sure if we look into other clubs, the people that are in charge, the reputations of the agents, we're going to find our own worries in those clubs. So once again, it goes back to the challenge of the player. If you are going to take that risk of finding a site, an agent, an operator that you can try to trust a little bit. And like I said, I'm sure Poker King will watch this. I'm sure he'll be upset. I'll be like, oh my God, I see how defensive he gets in terms of his feedback. Even how a lot of the people I've seen that are with the site, their support strategy is very poor, I gotta say. Basically, their strategy is, okay, you said we didn't pay us, we're gonna call you a cheat and scammer. And we're gonna back that up by random fish who support our claim. I mean, it's a fucking joke. It's a joke that this is even being allowed to exist in the poker world. My only interaction with Poker King was, I think Feldman had him on a show, and then he came on at one of my Monday night shows, and then something happened with Jay Nandez. He said, oh, I knew Doug and Joey were whatever. I don't know, it's kind of funny, but like I said, anytime, Poker King, anytime you want to get together, let me know, man. Podcast, I'm ready, man. So I feel like this video is a little longer than I anticipated it being, but I wanted to cover exactly how a lot of these different situations work out there. If you have any questions, more information, post in the chat below. You can get in touch with me as well, too. Give me your feedback. Let me know what you think. But yeah, this is the, a state of the current situation with the online underground poker world out there. It's fun, right? Very fun. And like I said, with all that said, still very possible to make money if you know what you're doing, if you know what to look for, try to limit your risk. That would be my suggestion to you if you are going to do that. And if you have questions on where to go or anything like that, let me know. I don't necessarily want to be an agent or guide people to someplace, but if the option is you play with the Poker King guy or you play with the local agent at your 2-5 game who's a drunk degenerate, I don't know. I'd prefer to send you someplace else if you have to play, or a site like a Global Poker, a perfectly fine option. Ignition, fine option. What's happening on there? I don't fucking know either. Who can you really trust these days when it comes to online poker? It's tough. It sucks. So that is what it is. Much love, guys. Peace out.